This video is all about reducing Dungeon Master overhead. Now, I'm no doctor and I don't know how your brain works, but when I'm running a D&D session, my brain does not do helpful things. I can plan and prepare my session down to the finest details, get all my ducks in a row, all in top hats and little tuxedos or whatever, and then BAM! It's get out of here, you bloody ducks, the session started. And I'm pacing around, getting into character, and then my brain's all flooded with adrenaline and beer. The session never goes quite like I planned. This can be a bit of a problem, sometimes a little bit stressful, and I think it comes down to a human limitation, especially when trying to prop up this role-playing experience and maintain this invisible simulation, because there's just too much Dungeon Master overhead sometimes. So this video is all about how to alleviate some of that brain pressure, how to develop some healthy attitudes and habits to make sure that your game runs smoothly and make sure that your brain doesn't break. Now, credit where credit's due. This topic was suggested by one of my Steel patrons, Andy King, otherwise known as Ando the Fantabulous on Discord. Thank you, Andy. You're a legend. I love you. Now, let's get on with it. So we've got 3 solutions available to us. Number 1 is to adopt a Zen attitude in your session prep. Number 2 is to stop being a precious dungeon master about your secrets. Number 3 is to make the players do some of the work. Get those lazy sons of... Oh, yeah. Zen. Zen. The Way of Zen is this book written in the 50s by Alan Watts. I read this when I was 18 and I understood about half of it. But then I reread it a few years later and I somehow understood even less.
A drunken man who falls out of a cart, though he may suffer, does not die. He is not conscious of riding in the cart, neither is he conscious of falling out of it. And if such security is to be got from wine, how much more is to be got from spontaneity?
This sentiment has always resonated with me. There's value in being unaware. There's value in spontaneity. Because in Dungeons & Dragons, this translates into freeing myself from any meticulous plan and leaning into improvisation. When you improvise, I bet sometimes it's a last-minute solution because you've been caught unprepared or you've been surprised by something. It can be stressful, even when it works out. It's still stressful, right? It's a lot different when you plan to improvise, because this lets you lean into some of that Zen spontaneity by carving out a space in your session where you deliberately don't know what's going to happen. It also frees up some brain space in your session prep so you can flesh out other areas. You don't need to improvise your big important moments, but for little scenes now and then in your notes just write, "This page intentionally left blank." By the way, if anybody watching this wants to get involved in this process of suggesting and voting on video ideas each month, please subscribe to the channel down here and get to voting on it's down there. It's down there. And then click on up here to get voting on Patreon. I really appreciate the support. Thank you so much. The second way that I reduce DM overhead is by revealing my secrets, because it takes a lot of mental energy to hide something. And as a dungeon master, for some reason, you are expected to do a whole lot of dishonest shit, like making up fake roles behind the DM screen to scare the players, or arbitrarily changing or hiding the monster stats. There's a whole bunch of lying, and I just don't want you to do that. The solution is honesty and communication. Of course it is, because the more the players understand about what their players' roles are in whatever situation you're planning, then the better they can pick up what you're putting down. For example, if you have a theme or a genre in mind for a particular scene or session, then tell the players directly, "Hey guys, this session it's going to be a farce, so let's lean into that silliness." In combat, tell the players the armor class that they need to hit, so they can determine on their own if they hit without having to ask you, does a 12 hit? And then also keep a visible tally of enemies' HP, so you don't have to keep telling them when they ask you. This crafting video up here, it shares my homebrew system for sharing HP. Check it out, you'll love it. Also, it's funny, I guess, maybe. When you try to be clever and coy and secretive, what you're doing is tricking the players, your friends, your mates around the table. And that can be satisfying, yeah, but it's not always necessary. It's not always productive. So what if the players aren't always surprised by your story beats? So what if they're allowed a little bit more strategic information than usual? Who cares? Not only do you unburden yourself of trying to smokescreen that information, you also unlock something in your players, because they'll be able to better help you by leaning into your expectations, better able to be self-sufficient in answering their own strategic questions. And it's going to reduce some of that needless back and forth, that clarifying chatter. And this is all going to relieve that DM overhead, and that DM stress. That's only our second solution. Just one more to go. Now, if you're watching this and you have any burning hot tips to help reduce DM pressure and relieve DM overhead during the game, then let everybody know in the comments down below. I reckon we could turn this whole comment section into an oasis in the desert for stressed out dungeon masters and help generations to come. Third solution. I want you to recruit the players to help you. Especially once you stop being so precious about your DM secrets, you are going to be better able to outsource a lot of those menial tasks onto the players. So just give every player a job. This player over here, maybe they can track initiative, and this player over here always tracks enemy health. This player in the middle, he went all the way home. No, he didn't. He is the person that always schedules the session times. So you can find more of these kind of suggestions of how to outsource specific menial tasks in my streamlining combat video up here. You'll get to a point where the players are instinctively helping you. I remember being a player in Curse of Strahd, and when one of our early confrontations with that primordial incel Strahd got a bit out of hand, 2 of us are dead, and the rest are literally chasing him through the woods. Well, once we got off the battle map, I pulled out a pen and paper and I started tracking distances between every combatant in combat. And our DM, Luke, he said it was helpful. That's Luke on our Discord. He's our Discord mod, by the way, so you should stop by and ask him about that fight because it was crazy. There's an invite in the description. I don't know exactly how accessible these solutions are to everybody, or whether these solutions only work for me because I'm a very flippant human. But it's helpful to know that you can change the conditions of the game to suit your style and your brain. This is a reminder that nothing in this book really matters. The rules, they're not the game. The story, it's not the game. The game is just you hanging out with your mates. So I want you to change the conditions of your session in a way that best reflects that purpose. We did it! That's amazing! Hey, this video was actually edited by my mate, Anto from Icarus Games. You can click one of these links over here, one of these videos. That's his video. Go check it out. He's good. And all my patrons, they're down here. This was a Patreon-sponsored video, and if you want to suggest video ideas and vote on video ideas, please join the Patreon. I love you. See you later.